welcome to Oink Time Pod. I'm Jen Carnavale.
I'm Ben Elwood.
This is our live one from the Sydney Fringe Comedy Festival.
And the word for today is ghosts.
With our guests Sean Smith and Nick Sun.
Enjoy.
Ghosts. The beyond. Ghosts. Poltergeist.
Hello, Oinkers! How are you guys?
You say who you are.
Oh, I'm Ben Elwood. They know who I am.
I'm Jen.
They wouldn't have come to the show if they didn't know who we are.
It's been recorded.
Oh, it's being recorded.
being recorded.
Hey! So we're not going to do any kind of like preamble, and we're just going to bring our amazing special guests on. So guys, can you please start clapping and cheering and welcome to the stage our first guest for tonight, Sean Smith! Woo! Hi, Sean.
Hi, how you going?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
It's fucking good to be here tonight.
All right, I'm going to bring up our next guest. I'm going to stand over here. Please welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Sun.
Oh.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Nicky.
So, I don't know if you guys know the concept of the podcast, but every week we draw a word out of a hat, a key word, and we like to kind of pull it apart and just see where we go. And we were thinking, this could like blow up in our faces.
Like, who knows the podcast? No one fucking answered.
Yeah.
Let's just go with it.
I think they're here for Nick, to be honest. But
I don't think they are.
I'm here for Nicky.
who's here for Nick's son? It's an audio medium. They can't hear your hands raising, you fuck. So I think we might throw it out to you guys. Like, does anyone have a word that comes to the top of their head that they'd like to yell out and hear us
Shout
kind of
out
pick to
any
pieces?
word. We're going to pick one, but shout out a word that we can maybe talk about. It can be anything. We had hypervigilance last week. What? Anything. We've had sex. We've had... Impunity?
What's that?
I don't fucking know what that is.
Yeah, no.
I'm retarded and dumb. I was just telling Ben that before.
And I'm on too many substances to find anything interesting in the word
Any words
impunity
that
tonight.
are smaller than impunity?
No, let's go with impunity. What is
What is
impunity?
impunity?
Like scot-free, like getting away with things scot-free, being able to, I don't know,
That's that's got a lot of.
You want to talk about impunity?
I think we all could talk about impunity. Judging our
Okay, getting away
lifestyles.
with things scot-free. Yeah, we can. Yeah, cool.
Shit.
I don't know.
I mean,
Alright.
some would say that describes two of the people on the panel. So,
Wait, who are you indicating?
You,
Me?
Nicky.
Why, that I've gotten away scot-free with things?
shit.
Well, I don't know if we can talk about it because it's being
That's the
recorded.
problem. Like, I have
Yeah.
gotten away with a lot of shit in my life. Like, I
But
support...
it's kind of I mean, would this be used as evidence against you?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Like
You know-
I supported myself financially with shoplifting for
Okay,
2
yeah,
years
yeah.
of my life. Because I was too fucked and drug addicted to actually get a job or leave the bed. So I would leave the house to shoplift every day.
man.
But I don't know if getting into the weeds and the details about that on an audio recording that's about to go out on the internet
I
in
love
the year
how that's the good
2018. What?
That's you at your most sellable. It's being fucked off your head and leaving the house to shoplift. You're like, I don't want to tell people the bad stuff, just the good stuff.
I was deeply mentally ill for a couple of years. Like, you were around, but...
Are we doing
It was hard to judge.
Aren't you still deeply mentally ill?
I'm still deeply mentally ill, but it's not as much of a controlling factor as it once was in my life.
You're functional.
I'm functional. I was
Barely, but yes.
So do you reckon you weren't
Barely
functional?
No.
Well, he's not shitting himself, and he has an income.
Oh, you didn't shit yourself.
I got to say, as fucked as I've been in my life on many substances, I've never shat or pissed myself, and I've only ever.
I have, but it was on purpose. It was on purpose.
What? Why?
It was my 28th birthday, and I was on mushrooms, and I felt like I was getting old, so I wanted to do something really immature, so I pissed myself. And it was really liberating. I was laughing a lot, and Eric was there, and he was really disgusted at me.
Well, it's
But
disgusting.
I didn't. I just went for a swim in the ocean.
You and I pissed ourselves on purpose one time.
Did we?
Yeah.
That's hot.
You just said
I
you
don't
didn't
remember
do it.
that.
No, but it was on purpose. It wasn't through like.
I don't remember. I know we showed each other our dicks.
We showed each other our
We got
dicks.
away with
That's
that
so
with
hot.
impunity. It really wasn't. It was more like a
No, I
camaraderie.
don't think it's hot at all. Thanks.
Well, it was a little hot. It was a little hot.
It was after a 10-hour amphetamines binge, so there wasn't much to show, to be honest.
Yeah.
No. We were at the beach one time, and I think we were talking about lamenting our lost childhood and the freedom of just being able to do silly things. And we
Yeah.
stood on the beach and pissed our pants.
I don't remember that
And
at
then
all.
giggled and ran
Gross.
into the ocean.
Oh, okay.
Don't fucking judge. You don't know.
I can judge.
Have you ever done anything like this?
No, I'm not a fucking filth bag. That's disgusting.
Yes, you are.
Have you
Jen.
ever? Yeah, keep
You are an
me-
absolute fucking filth bag.
I
Just your little
present
fucking
better than you.
turtleneck sweater doesn't
Yeah,
change
yeah.
the fact that you're a dirt bag.
Don't buy her act just because she has a nice sweater. I mean, we're all essentially pretty filthy animals if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our word. What's the word again?
Impunity.
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 I don't like.
I don't like it.
Fucking hell.
I don't want to feel guilty. Can we like?
Yeah.
All right, okay. I'm going to try another word.
Yeah. Sorry, Jared, but impunity.
That was a good word,
That
Jared.
was
I
a
thought we
great
could run
word
with it.
if we knew what it meant. Can we have someone else yell
It was
out
just
a word?
pretentious.
Any word. Pardon? Ghost?
Oh.
Yeah, I've dealt with a ghost.
Fuck off.
No one is surprised.
You've dealt with mental illness.
No,
Not a
it's
ghost,
real.
mate.
It's all real.
Yeah.
Is everyone okay with ghosts?
Yeah, no, I like ghosts.
Sean?
Yeah. Let's do ghosts.
What does the audience think of the word ghost? Shall we go there?
Oh,
Wow,
I love
yeah.
how these people are like, I don't
fucked.
give a fuck. I don't-
Don't bowl us over with your enthusiasms.
Thank you. All right, ghosts it is.
Do you guys believe in ghosts?
No.
Done. Next word. No.
Of course not.
I don't disbelieve in ghosts. Yeah.
Have you ever had an encounter? Like,
I
feel
don't know
like,
if I can talk about it. I just realized.
Why?
Because it happened to someone we know.
What?
Yeah. So.
Someone that we know.
Yeah.
What? So a ghost?
Well, I don't know if it was a ghost, but it was definitely, I was communicating with some kind of spirit. And.
No, you
Are
weren't.
you talking about you in the third person?
No. I was yeah. Well, let's just. What can I say?
Oh my god.
I heard about a death of someone that I knew, and it was pretty fucked up. What happened? And I did ayahuasca the next day after,
Always ends well.
and I basically went through what they went through on a very muted level, and it was fucking horrific. Obviously, and
fuck,
I was
man?
like, I don't know what to do. I was like, fuck. It just wasn't. I wasn't prepared for it. No one taught me how to be a psychopomp in school. So, and then I came.
What did you say?
A psychopomp, someone who helps someone to cross over to the other side. Because I saw her spirit and it was just completely divorced and lost and bewildered and in shock. And so I went outside and I was like, fuck, I didn't even tell her to run towards the light. Like, that's a basic thing that you have to tell a spirit.
Duh.
I know. It just didn't really hit me.
For fuck's sake.
And so then I got called to do clearing work when I went down to where it happened in a different city. So I went down there and I went into a trance using drumming and tobacco. And then I met her. I called a spirit and I met her. And I said, oh, you have to run towards the light. And because spirits don't look up because they're too busy attached to the earth plane. And then she looked up and she went, I don't want to run towards that thing. I was like, but it's beautiful. It's like a white tunnel of light above me. And she was like, I don't want to run towards that thing which let this thing happen to me. Like, why would I do that? I don't want to leave. And I was like, oh, okay. And she goes like, I'll deal with it later. Like, but I'm not ready to leave this plane yet because I don't really want to. I'm not ready to forgive what happened.
So a
And then-
spirit said that.
Well, I don't know if it was a spirit. I'm just saying that's what I like communicated with. And I'm quite willing to entertain the possibility that the mind creates stories to make sense of the
Yeah.
world.
This is during
But-
an ayahuasca
No, this was
situation?
straight.
This is straight.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
sober.
Jesus.
So sober,
Just
yeah.
plain psychosis.
No, it's not. This is basically. This is
I'm not as
basically.
cynical as these fucking witches.
No, this is
I think-
basically shamanic trance. You go into a trance with a drum. Every culture's been using it for fucking thousands of
Yeah.
years. It's only the Western culture that does not believe in spirits, because we're basically living in a Christian, atheist, fucking scientific materialist sort of worldview, which is actually completely abnormal compared to the rest of the indigenous perspectives, which we've completely been divorced from. So we're more easily manipulated by the powers that be.
No,
So
Oh, by science?
No, I agree. And also, like Judo-Christian Western civilization has made like magic and spirits like arcane black knowledge. And, because I think that there's a part of the... this is going to get really whacked out and conspiratorial, but I
think
do
we're
kind
already
of...
been
No, but I
there,
kind of
just keep
fucking believe
going.
this. I kind of think that, there is, an operating system of the universe, and I think the powers that be kind of know that, and they make it forbidden knowledge so the rest of us don't have access to it. Because if we all had access to our true nature, we wouldn't all fucking,
Just drink ayahuasca.
go to work every day.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it pretty much
Yeah,
is.
it's
like a cross between The
with Nick.
Matrix and Star Wars. I've seen it.
I think
I'm not crazy. They told me the crazy people are right. And I know you think I'm crazy, but just because everyone's like, oh, you live in a fantasy world, Nick, but the real world that we're in right now, that's just as fake as that. I mean, we're just living in jobs which are not connected to our survival whatsoever, working for money that isn't real, fucking distracting ourselves with social media. That's not real at all. That's completely fake. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to rant at you.
But you don't agree. You agree with him. You've got contempt for all that kind of stuff, right?
What?
Social media and,
you agree with him. Do you know what he just said? There's heaps of shit.
I don't know.
You agree.
I don't really understand what he just said.
Right.
Money is
that.
the thing.
It's
Well,
true.
Sean-
Your entire reality is just a construct a story that you're telling yourself, and the story that we're telling ourselves as a society at the moment is fucking toxic
Fucking
and
hell.
awful.
Listen,
Yeah.
there's I understand. No, don't at me. I understand that there's truth into what you're both saying. Like, we have lost touch with a lot of things that Indigenous cultures could have taught us, and we are sort of robots going through the system. But to suggest that we're all fucking useless doing what we're doing, if everyone quit their job tomorrow, how would we continue surviving?
Yeah.
If money didn't exist. And
Well, there'd be a huge cull.
yeah, there'd
But
be a
we'd work it out. The huge cull's coming anyway. I mean, the huge cull's right around the corner.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah, okay, I forgot about the huge cull. My bad. But
It's just around the corner, guys.
We may as well.
Neither of them it's as fucking realistic as what we're doing now. To suggest that people just quit their jobs and everyone just...
No.
I was never suggesting that.
No. I'm not suggesting that either.
You are starting a cult, Nick.
I once went-
I'm not starting a cult. It's too much responsibility.
It is a cult, and he's starting.
It is a cult.
No. I'm encouraging other people to start their own cults, and then have cult warfare. Or maybe we'll just have a really beautiful community based on mutual fucking something.
That's
hippie.
realistic, yeah. Okay.
There is only a matter of time, though, when people gather in a compound before shit starts
We are
turning
not-
weird.
We're not.
Yeah,
going
that's
down the
never ended
apocalyptic-
well.
No, I'm not talking about the apocalypse.
We
I'm
are
talking about
not-
any time people have tried to build a utopic cult, off the
Gets
grid.
contaminated.
Yeah, it's only a matter of times
There
before
are a few
automatic
successful
weapons and
ones.
weird fucking
There are a few
sex
successful
ring
ones.
You
stuff.
don't really hear often about those killer cults.
Yeah, because they're not newsworthy.
rarely
No one
do
wants
they
to be like a
come-
bunch of happy people worked it out. That's just no one's going to read that. It's not. You want to hear the one hey, this guy made everyone drink fucking poison and then die horribly.
That's true. It's not a sellable.
It's not so.
Sean, you said you don't believe in ghosts. What do you think they are when people say, I had a ghost experience?
I just think they've imagined something, or it's just not real. I don't know what it is. I don't have the answers. I don't have those answers. I'm not into science, but I just know that it's fucking ridiculous and it's not fucking real. It's insane. It's insane
Because it's not tangible.
to think that is real. You're just seeing something, you're just imagining something. When my dad died, I had a dream that night that he came and told me that everything is going to be okay. But that's just a dream that I had because I was grieving. But he wasn't actually there. That was just something that my brain made up
that's
to
your
make me
explanation
feel
of it.
better.
I feel
Maybe
like
it
I've had a
wasn't.
lot of weird dreams
Definitely
connected
was.
to people in my life at weird times. I had an ex that I was with for a long time, and we were really young, and we'd broken up, and I was out with a friend of ours, with Mads, and we were drinking, and I was like, oh, I had this really fucked up dream about Bo last night. He was in hospital, it was really fucked, and then the next day I bumped into his parents, and I hadn't seen him for 6 months, and he was hospitalised with some stuff going on.
But that's just a coincidence.
But is it though? Because that shit happens all the time. My little sister had a thing the other day with a friend of hers as well. Sometimes I think you can be close to someone enough that you can be connecting on each other's
Energies?
No,
I don't know what you want to call it.
It falls,
but I feel
it falls
like-
apart when you start putting words to it because energy and all that
Sounds
stuff is
wanky
so
as shit,
tainted by hippy dippy new wave shit.
But I use energy. I reckon energy is an actual
Well, I mean,
thing.
for want of a better phrase, energy. But there does, I don't know, I've had experiences that, I think, and I
Yeah, but we're all out of our fucking minds.
No, I had a dream that my
I just don't believe anything that comes out of anyone's
That's fair enough. But
fucking
look,
mouth.
at the end of the day, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what you believe. It's just what the functional outcome of your belief
Yeah.
system is. If your belief system makes you happy, great. If your belief system makes you depressed and nihilistic, well then, what's the point of that? they're
should
all
you just-
equally
so should
real
you
and they're
just-
all equally
yeah.
false.
Well, because
Right.
the belief is like the belief.
Right,
It's weird
yeah.
because belief does create reality. Like my mum has like all these old world wog superstitions. Like
Same
she's
as my family.
Yeah, like I rang. She's
So is my
like
family.
been going through a bunch of bad luck lately, like real world tangible stuff. And then I was talking to her on the phone the other day, and she's like, "Oh, and to cap it all off, I broke a mirror. That's the next 7 years fucked." Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, you really believe that reality is conspiring against you for
Yeah.
the next 7 years because you shattered a mirror? And I told her, like, the reason that superstition exists is because back in the day, mirrors were really, really expensive, consumable items. And if the average person shattered a mirror, it was around 7 years before they could afford to get a
another
new
one.
mirror.
Yeah.
So there's the same as like, oh, walking under a ladder's bad luck. Yeah, because some guy might drop a fucking can of paint on your head. It's not because the ladder's cursed. Like there's but
It could be cursed.
But I was saying to her, you need to be really fucking careful because if you believe that you've got 7 years of bad luck coming your way, you are going to open yourself up
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Yeah, you're looking for it.
yeah, and you're going to fucking
Yeah, yeah.
go down these
Yeah.
paths subconsciously that will create and manifest this bad luck that you think the universe has, put upon you, but really it's just your own head. I mean, I think that's what a lot of ghosts are as well. It's like they're not necessarily external; they're internal. Fucking
Well, I don't know. I met a spirit in a cave in the Blue Mountains.
All right.
yeah.
His name's Mick.
Yeah.
And me and my friends, we both described the same thing. All right, we're on mescaline cactus, fair enough. But that just opens the doors in your
You're
mind.
just
all
on
right?
drugs.
No, it's medicine. It's
No,
medicine.
No, it's not.
It is. It's fucking medicine.
Well, it might be medicine, but it's also
It's been used
drugs.
for 4,000 years by
No,
fucking...
All right, well, now I believe it.
I don't like it when people dismiss a spiritual experience as, oh, you were just on
Well-
drugs, because that doesn't make the difference. The experience was still true and real.
I
Well-
feel like skepticism is just like a fear of the unknown, and your mind is trying to like deal with it.
I guess it's like
I
if
am
people have
scared of
the
the
same.
unknown.
Would people have the same attitude towards it if you were like, I was really drunk and a tree started talking to me? Like it's easier to say, no, you don't get it. It was really spiritual because I was on a certain type. of
No, but when you're on
alcohol's a
meth,
depressant.
alcohol's a
Alcohol's a
fucking shit
depressant.
drug.
No, that
It
alcohol
shuts
but-
down your awareness.
Okay, that wasn't really what I was going
Okay,
for.
sorry.
But I was just saying, like, if
I ate a lot of
is
coke
it-
before this.
Is it because it's like the certain drugs and people associating it with certain stuff? Like people are like, no, you don't understand. It's like a fucking.
I've seen
wanky
some
drug.
weird shit. There was a time many, many years ago, me and Nikki were on drugs.
All right.
And
Now,
we were with our friend, the departed Dan Brown, not the author. And he was having a rough night. And at one point in the evening, he believed that he had been... It sounds so insane. It probably is insane. But he believed that he'd been invaded by some kind of demonic entity, like a succubus, that had attached itself onto the base of his skull and was feeding on his thoughts. And that's one thing to say it. His hands swelled to like 3 times the size.
saw that.
He was
Whoa.
foaming at the mouth. It was like fucked up. And
Yeah.
he was off the grid for like years after that. So whether or not there was some external demonic entity that entered his body and took him over, or it was a product of his mind, it doesn't really make a difference. The effect was the effect. Like
Yeah,
he
the
was
effect is
clearly
it's
fucking...
fucked.
Yeah, he clearly had some kind of demon in him, whether it was self-created or not.
Yeah, and I
Is
had
it a demon or is it just your chemicals getting fucked up because you took the wrong drugs for your brain composition?
yeah.
I had a demonic extraction on my third ayahuasca.
All right.
And I basically had 12 years of
sorry.
depression cured in a night. Like, you remember me when I was at the height of my comedy. I was a fucking depressed nihilist.
Yeah.
And then I was a skeptic, and then I did ayahuasca. In my third session, I literally had this evil spirit pulled out my stomach, and I was yelling at it, and I realized the more negative energy I gave it, the more powerful it became, so I had to send it love. And then these high spirits came in, and they're like, do you want this out of you? And I went, yes, just take it the fuck out of me. And they said, well, then you have to promise that you're going to work for us now. And I went,
Okay.
all right, just get it out of me. And that's how I got recruited by the light beings. Thank you. And then I had another experience, not on any medicine, where I was helping people die in Calcutta. I was working in the Mother Teresa Home for the Dying and Destitute, and I was taking on this guy's energy, and I was like fucking having like a DMT trip just without the visuals, take on this guy's energy. I watched him die. It was a fucking horrible death. Because, and then I had to go cremate his body. And then I went to see Star Wars, because I was going to see it anyway, and I was a bit moody by that point. And so I went in there, and halfway through the movie where Han Solo gets, like, lightsabered, fucking reality completely broke down, and I heard 2 voices saying, remember what we told you? And the one said, well, you work for us now. And I had this fucking full-scale download of that basically, guys, we're in some kind of spiritual warfare right now, and the time for sitting on the fence is over.
Are you joking?
I'm not fucking joking,
But
man.
do you think
There's the
taking-
battle
okay,
going between
you know how you're on ayahuasca and the demon came out and all that type of shit?
All right.
That could have happened,
It cured my depression.
and it cured your depression,
Yeah,
which is
and that- yeah.
wonderful. But do you also
That's why I had to
think-
stop doing comedy, because my act didn't work anymore. I was like, I'm happy now. I can't be a comedian.
but do you-
Happiness is the enemy of the comic. It's true.
That's what
Sorry, Jen, go.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But do you also think that you were looking for something and it just gave you what you were looking for? Like you were looking
I
for
wasn't
it,
looking for an exorcism.
No, but you were looking for an out for comedy for years.
No.
And
My
a
int-
girlfriend
my-
or a mate going, you should really quit because it's not good for your
No, no, no.
self-esteem is not the same as you going, I was tripping balls and a fucking alien came out of my tits
No.
and said I should fucking quit.
My
Like,
intention
it doesn't
for my
have as much
my
weight.
intention for that ceremony was how do I become a better comedian?
Really?
And the ayahuasca said ayahuasca said quit because it's killing you. Go do charity work in the third world, you self-centered fuck.
Wow.
And that's the
so-
thing. Like, it is like, you know, I'm like 3/4 with you. I share some of their cynicism, but like, I think it's like everyone's rolling their eyes and like, but
Oh, I
it's like,
don't care.
well, like,
No,
yeah,
like, it's just.
No,
it's
you are.
Fucking, oh, come on, man.
But it
Like,
doesn't- but-
Did you hear what he just said?
I-
A demon came out of his stomach or some fucked
It's
up
not-
Honestly,
shit.
man,
on,
I
on,
think
a,
you
on
have
a
an
pie
entity
graph
as
right
well,
now,
Sean.
who's happier, Sean? You or Nick?
I don't know.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, Nick's happy.
Honestly, Sean,
Yeah, honestly.
think you got an
what are
NC.
you going to tell? I
seriously,
need an
when you're ready, I can help you. 'Cause
I've been running absolutely fine, buddy.
I've been running certain sessions with great impunity, and I can help you. So when you're ready, Sean, when you're ready,
It's all right,
when you're ready to run
see a
towards the light,
psychiatrist who studied
they're
medicine.
just going to drug you up. They're horrible.
You're going to drug her up as
You're
well.
going to drug me up too on like some cactus
I'm gonna
juice.
medicine her up.
You're in a farm and they're in an office, but it's
I could
exactly
take-
No,
Like, I
it's
could
not.
do that.
It's not. Big
It's very
pharmacology is fucking evil, man. It's fucking gross that we live in a fucking society that will prescribe a dying child with cancer fucking endones and oxys, but they won't give them cannabinoid oil because that's fucking evil. No, seriously, it's
Why are you cheerleading this
actually,
right
yeah.
now?
the audience applauds
Yeah,
despite
and-
your cynicism.
Ask him
There we
why
are.
He's fucking cheerleading for this right
seriously.
now.
Actually, though, like
Why today, Ben?
I don't know.
Right now,
It's just
are you
coincidental.
cheerleading for the oil.
No, I've always cheered for the fucking oil. The
He just
natural
got
remedies.
the fucking oil and he loves it, and so he's looking for cheerleading.
Yeah, I feel really fucking chilled out for one time in my fucking life. And now you're killing my fucking buzz. So what? I had some fucking oil. Oh no, I should go to the fucking chemist and see a shrink and get fucking antidepressants.
I'm not
The
suggesting
drop of
that.
oil did the fucking job, and it
No.
came from the earth.
You know what's happened? We got the word
Came from the
ghost,
earth.
and
And, like,
we got the polar fucking opposite of the spectrum here, which I did not think was going to happen. Like, we have a zombie came out of my stomach, and then we
It wasn't a
have-
zombie. It was more like
Okay,
this
I'm
black
so
thing with
sorry.
many eyes.
But like
black-
I've seen
dark
people
presence.
I've seen people have like the same like reaction that you had when you had like the demon come out of your stomach and
That's
all
because
that
it's
sort
real.
of stuff. Yeah. So when
There's
that
many
happened,
cultures that believe
like,
this.
and then you felt a lot better after that. After 10 years of depression, like I've seen people who've lived with 10 years of depression and then they've gotten the right antidepressants and their life has gone completely back to normal and they can be.
But it's all underneath.
and they can
it's all
be.
underneath. It's not cured.
But isn't it all just chemical?
Yeah, but it's a chemical imbalance. Some people are
No,
not.
it's
But
an allergic
you're-
reaction to Western society. That's what mental illness is. Like we're completely disconnected
Well,
from
no, it's
nature.
I think
We're living
depression
in
is
fucking-
sometimes no longer being able to handle like reality, right?
But I think
But what-
also
that shouldn't
depression
be
is-
that way.
But
It's just
depression
become the
is
norm.
thrown around so fucking much. There's no weight to sadness. Like it's
Yeah.
like if people feel sad, they're like, "Oh, you feel sad, you should fix that."
Mm,
It's like why? It's always served a purpose. Like
Yeah.
happiness, people are like you should just go around being happy. It's like no one fucking flows.
Yeah.
through
Someone
life
a doctor
happy.
A
Like,
doctor wanted to put my mum on antidepressants when her parents died. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're sad because your parents. You should feel a bit bad. that
And
your
it's okay
parents
to
died.
feel
You know,
like-
medicated to not
I mean,
feel sad.
having said that, I don't take lightly people who are depressed need to get help if they need help. But feeling sad and saying you feel depressed can sometimes be okay if you're like sitting in it. Like you're like
Yeah.
we've talked about it where it'd be like, what's wrong? It's like, I'm fucking depressed today. It's like, cool. You know, but acknowledging it and sitting in it and being okay with it is so foreign nowadays that people are like, oh, you got to fix it.
Yeah.
If you're feeling depressed, you should really fix that. It's like,
Yeah.
Inside Out, man. Inside Out should be seen by
Inside
everyone.
Out.
That's the fucking most
What's
profound
that?
movie ever. You've never
What's
seen
that?
Inside Out? Oh, it's like a little girl's first experience with depression from the perspective of the emotions in her head.
Greatest
And it's
film.
all about
Is it a comedy?
embracing... It's very funny.
Okay,
but it's all about, like... Man, it's
film.
okay to feel fucking sad. And, you know, like,
Yeah,
there's different
it's-
kinds
it's
of
okay to
sadness.
feel,
It's all right.
actually.
It's all right to feel,
it's
yeah.
important. It's an important emotion.
Have you ever seen a ghost, Jenny?
I can't remember. I feel like I had once.
No, you haven't.
Maybe not. But I'm not.
Definitely haven't seen a ghost.
But I've had lots of weird, strange shit happen. I'm not opposed to that stuff, though. Like, I mean, I grew up with my mum being like, don't use a Ouija board, the bad spirits will come. So, like, I have all that in my head. I'm really big in, like, respecting the dead and letting things lie and being careful with how you, I don't know. I have that weird wog thing where I'm like,
But that's just like something that's been ingrained.
Yeah,
right?
possibly. But I mean, also, there's heaps of shit that's been ingrained from when I was young that I don't believe in at all.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone gets through life without a little bit of superstition. Like, you gotta be superstitious about something, right? Or you just completely like, nah.
I just don't, like, it's just like, no. It's too much to think about. No.
It's
But like, you don't have
not
like
real.
you don't have a little thing that you do to make, to stave off, whatever, like touch wood or something like that.
What do you mean?
Like, for instance, whenever I get on a plane, unless I convince myself that I'm already dead and that the plane will crash.
Oh, yeah. No, I do that.
The plane will
I do
crash.
that.
Well, so
But I
you're fucking
catastrophize.
yeah, but it's this.
So
thing-
I feel better.
But for me, it's almost my belief. It's like if I get on the plane calm, going, it's going to be great. I'm going to arrive at my destination, having a wonderful time. Well, then we're probably going to crash.
Yeah.
Whereas if I feel like, no, you're going to get on this plane and you're never getting off this plane, then we'll be fine. It's a stupid superstition, but like I know. It's
no, I
stupid.
don't think of it like that. Like, I just go into the plane and accept my death so that so that I'm okay with it when I'm flying. I'm like, okay, I've accepted that I'm going to die. And then, you know what I mean?
that is
Like, I just come to an acceptance of death every single time.
But that
I
is a
fly.
form of
It's really
superstition.
profound.
That is a form of superstition because it's like it's almost ritualized when you do it, right?
Well, it's more just like anxiety, right? Because I'm just anxious that the plane's going to crash.
I think a lot of this stuff
Even though
is
it's
like everyone's
not.
talking about the same thing, but it's just different language for the same shit.
I don't know if we're all talking about the same thing, Benny. Like we're all in exactly the same place with this shit, you know? Differing opinions.
Me and Nikki have seen a UFO.
Yeah. I fucking know.
No,
I heard
We
about
weren't
this.
on drugs.
We were
actually
not on
straight.
we were not on drugs.
We were about to get high.
They were
but we
just
didn't.
mentally ill.
No.
It was.
No, fuck
There's
you.
no such thing
Let
as
me tell you the
marijuana.
story. We were with a dear friend who is completely straight edge.
She's like
never done a
Asian-
drug
she's like Asian
in her
Lisa
fucking.
Simpson.
This is always how the story
She's
starts.
like the Asian Lisa Simpson.
Yeah, no, it's true. She's like
A
Lisa
little bit.
Simpson,
She's
and
very nice.
and she corroborates the entire fucking story. I feel like if it was just me and Nick on the beach, especially with the weight of time behind us, I'd be like, yeah, maybe we made that shit up. But she corroborates.
Have
to
you
this
asked
day.
her recently?
Yeah, man, she fucking
She
said
was the
she
one
saw
who
it.
pointed it out.
She clocked it. She
What
saw
was it? What was it
It
doing?
was fucking weird, man. Like, I'm not saying it was an alien. It could have been some weird government
It
craft
was just
that we don't know
weird,
about.
some weird thing.
Fuck off, man. It was a light in the first.
Well, you just admitted that it was some weird thing.
Well, whatever. It was an UFO. It was an unidentified
okay,
flying
yeah,
It was
yeah.
doing like
It looked
figure
like a
eights.
VH1 music bouncy ball on the lyrics. It was
Yeah.
going like
Do you reckon it was like a drone?
And then this was like
Unless it was a
11
really,
years ago.
really big drone.
Whoa.
It was the size of a star from the distance. It was doing triangular motions in the sky, and we went through this whole range of emotion. Of like, first we were like laughing because we'd always wanted to see one, and then we got really freaked out. And then I started yelling like, "Take us aboard!" And Nick started freaking out, going, "Shut up!"
I don't want to go on board an alien craft. You know what happens there.
and then it's so weird because like
I can just imagine that so well.
But back then, I used to like buy into a lot of kind of like alien architect stuff, like that humans were created by aliens and all that.
Did you believe that?
I didn't believe.
It's possible.
Shut-
I wanted to.
Why? Because like I'm not on the fence with everything, but I do have a lot of weird belief stuff where I'm like, you got to respect the elders and you got to look after
Yeah.
the dead and all that kind of. And the earth, I think you got to respect the earth.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
funky
the
shit
earth
can
will
happen.
fuck
But
you up if you don't.
seem to be really polar opposite, where you're like, it's all hallucinations. Why do you think you're so far that way? Because I know why I float, because I feel like I don't fucking know.
It just doesn't
anyway.
make any sense to me. It doesn't make any logical
But does the
sense.
alternative make
Nothing's
sense?
supposed to make sense.
What do you mean nothing's supposed
Look
to
at
make
you
sense?
bullying.
What about
That's a
science?
fucking woman.
Bullying?
Okay, sorry.
Why?
sorry,
Like,
sorry.
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm
I
just
don't
really
know. I
passionate
just
by my
know that
worldview.
that's not. Like, I don't know. I don't have the
starting cult.
answers. I'm not like a scientist, but like I just believe that that's definitely not true.
Okay.
But
That's just my
That-
belief.
All right, well, let's just
That
agree to
there's-
disagree.
I don't have any reason, but I just know that ghosts aren't real.
Ghosts, yeah.
I know that
What about
ghosts,
the UFO thing?
Well, I don't know about.
What
Like
the
I haven't
fuck
looked
was
into.
that?
Well, I don't know.
that's fucking weird, man. And like I said, if it was just me and Nick, I'd be like, yeah, all right.
Well, it could have just been some government thing. Like, there's no. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, I
No,
love
no,
that.
no, that's
But
not-
like fucking
Where did they get the
government
technology?
shit. Yeah.
No,
Well,
look,
I don't know.
But that to me, like, and when I default into what I think it actually was, that's probably what it was. It was probably some weird fucking RAF plane that we don't know anything about. That to me is much
But it
more
was like
terrifying. than-
Colorado Plateau. Would they really be that dumb and experiment with radical military technology?
It was
But would
fucking
aliens
weird,
be that
man.
dumb and just.
Maybe they're just like, you know, hey, you always wanted to see us, here we are. Woo.
Your idea of aliens are that they're like
Also,
real
not
friendly.
many people look at the sky that much. Like, this thing is, like, not many people look at spirits. Firstly, because our degree of awareness is degraded over time due to various factors that I can really get into if you want, but it's a very long conversation.
We've only got
Yeah.
But also, a lot of people just aren't looking for it, so you don't see it. Like, there's a lot of weird shit happens in the woods if you spend enough time by yourself in the woods, which
Yeah,
I
of
do.
course.
Which
If you
I
spend
do.
enough time by yourself
Which
in
I
the
do. and I've
woods,
seen
you will
some fucking
probably
weird shit out there.
hallucinate.
Exactly. No, you
Baby,
don't.
that's what happens.
You become pretty sensitive
No,
to
you
stuff.
become insane.
I haven't seen a
Because you're so
yowie, but I've
fucking
heard one.
isolated. And you're in the fucking woods. Of course you're going to fucking hallucinate.
That's sort of leading towards Sean. Who said if you spend enough time alone in the woods,
Yeah.
You will.
like weird
I highly
stuff's
recommend it.
gonna happen.
You'll see some
Weird shit's
shit.
going to happen,
I bet
really.
you'll see some shit. You're alone.
Yeah, you're not going to see a fucking yowie in the city, but if you fucking sit in the woods for like 10 days, you'll
say-
probably encounter something.
Yeah, because you've lost your mind.
You say that
No,
ghosts
I
and all
found
that, you say that ghosts and all that stuff doesn't make sense, but like, does the alternative way that we all live, the actual way we all live, does that? And this is not. I'm not.
What do you mean?
I'm saying, does that make sense?
What do you mean the way that we live?
In this fucking weird,
Matrix.
yeah, Matrix where everyone's just like, and not kind of
Is it
stepping out of their.
as we think it is?
I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
is.
I
And I
walked
think
into-
very
I-
few people step out of it and go, "What the fuck is this? Is fucking weird."
Just
This is pretty
everyone's just
fucking weird.
different.
now.
Go to
Right,
Broadway
though.
Shopping Center on the weekend, man.
Yeah, so they're
Go to
apocalypse.
Kmart. I was in
Yeah.
Kmart. I was like, this
They're
is.
just
I'm
people.
fucking
They're
tripping
just
out of my
people,
skull right
though.
now.
It's The Walking Dead. It's fucked up.
But they're just people. Like, there's dumb people. They're just dumb
No.
people. That's what they, like...
No, I know that's what it is.
And there's also just happy people who are
Yeah,
content.
there's
Are
happy
they?
people.
Yeah, and they're content.
And there's just
I saw a
people who are
couple.
different from us and
They're
that we
just
don't understand.
Super content in
Yeah.
what they're doing. I remember when I was really young and I was really restless, and I was with a friend of ours, Mads, and we met this chick at a party, and I was like, "What do you do?" And she was like, "I'm in HR." And I was like, "And how do you find that?" She's like, "I absolutely love it."
She was lying. She was on a lot of
I
antidepressants.
freaked the fuck out. But she was fucking into it, and she did love it. She was like, "I absolutely
it's like a
love
big
it."
goat eating grass in a
But she
field.
was
Fuck
happy,
that.
and she was content. She's like, "I'm into HR, and I'm into what I do.
Yeah.
No fucking judgment." Like she's
HR.
yeah, she's
I'm into
into it.
human resources.
She was into it.
Everyone's
But the
into
point is,
different
it's like
What
stuff.
is HR? Is
human
Human
resources.
resources.
what is that? Sounds such a
I
creepy
think they
phrase.
fire
What-
people.
It's like looking after
they?
employees.
It's one of those
and
jobs
stuff.
that when the
Do you not know
apocalypse
what that
comes, there'll be
is, Nick
food.
Son? Do you not know
I
what
spent a lot of time in
HR
the
is?
woods. I don't know what HR is.
Oh my god.
But the point is, it's like it could be
You need
anything.
to live in the real
like
world.
she could have been
I
like,
do.
"I work in a fruit shop, and I fucking
Wait,
love
wait.
it." And
I
who
wanna-
cares? Like she loves it.
I want to follow up on what you just said, and this is not an attack, but you just said to Nick, "You need to live in the real world." But I've known Nick when he's lived in the real world,
And he was very depressed.
and he was super depressed.
Yeah, this is
And
better.
I
But
know
don't you
Nick
need to
went-
know how to...
So
well,
why does
yeah.
he need to live
Oh,
in
I
the
do.
real
Well,
world?
yeah, no, he doesn't actually, because this is the way he handles reality, right?
Yeah.
What is reality, though? I mean, this is an endless question.
Yeah, well, that's an
and,
endless
and like I
question.
said, the real world, it isn't real. It's completely construct.
Yeah.
Complete construct. I mean, like,
Aren't we all just like creating little cushiony things that make us comfortable?
Yeah,
You're more
yeah.
comfortable in the woods.
I'm
with-
not really. No, I've
Yeah,
just
I'm
been
more
there to do work.
Oh, Nick, you are way more fucking comfortable doing what you're doing now.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like we're just looking to be comfortable. I think
Some of
everyone's-
us, but no, it's no. Actually, no. I don't.
You're
think,
looking to
it's not
strive
comfortable
to
what I do.
struggle.
It's not
I-
comfortable.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people, gun to their head, would want to do, maybe not as extreme as what you're doing, but would want to do similar stuff to what you're doing, but they feel trapped in their kind of lives
think
of like,
people
no,
love-
when you're 30, you get
It's-
married, and when you're 35, you start shitting out kids that you don't actually want. And,
No, I think you underestimate how much people like comfort. I say that because I do, but how much people like comfort and routine and structure and purpose.
Yeah.
I would fall into a fucking hole of depression if I did not know what I was planning to do or what I was looking to do. If tomorrow I lost my job and I didn't have to ever work again, I would like have a ball for a while and then
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't know what, and like not doing comedy, not doing
Yeah.
anything. I would be really lost.
Do you
But-
think you would
For a while.
Sorry, go.
But
I think people can sometimes thrive in structure, and I don't think there's anything wrong with people
But
who
like
look
Nick,
for that.
like, do you think the reality that we live in isn't like why do you think that that's bad?
Oh, I don't think it's bad.
You don't
I'm
think
just
it's
saying
bad?
it's equally valid as my reality.
Oh yeah,
And they're both equally invalid.
yeah. Or
So I'm just saying that there's no reality has any precedence over any other reality. There's just more
Okay.
people supporting this,
this is
kind
pretty
of reality.
dense.
So
But that's what it is. Like reality is only like the number of people that are endorsing that reality. So if everyone tomorrow, you know, and I'm not
But
advocating.
if everyone tomorrow quit their jobs
but that's
and
why I'm
lived
not
how Nicky
advocating
did,
that.
then like
No, it's
so
just-
many things would collapse
Of course.
and fall apart.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And,
I went to a communist meeting once when I was 19, and they were
Oh
just
my
like, "All we
God.
need to do is convince the bus drivers to go on strike, and then no one will be able to get to work, and they'll suddenly realise the futility of their jobs." Like, you fucking morons! That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying that everyone should just fucking cash out of life now, but there are, I think, alternative ways of living
Yeah.
or of experiencing a life that most
But
people
you're-
don't open themselves up to because we have a very prescribed way of
Yeah,
living.
yeah.
But you're also
I
going
like-
at the way they're living with as much judgment, like with so much judgment, that it's like, I read this book recently, which is a true story about this writer in Japan, and it's called Convenience Store Woman. And basically, she's worked in a convenience store and she's like 38, and everyone around her is like, what's wrong? Because she's still there after like 18 years, and she quits the job because she thinks she should, and basically her life turns to shit. And when she goes back to the convenience store, it's written in this really strange way where when she goes back, she's like excited by the sounds of it and the smells of it. Like she's like really fucking happy
Yeah.
in there. But the point is, it's like, you're looking at these people with so much judgment. It's like people are fulfilled doing what you consider
don't
to
think
be
she-
I completely agree.
I don't think she
lifestyle.
gave it enough of a chance. She needed to have stuck it out a bit more in the
And
wilderness.
then what would have happened?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot
But
of these
that's what
routines
makes
and
you feel
structures are really just like a sort of controlled defense mechanism against the great unknown. So it's really it's giving you an illusion of control, but you really have no control over external factors. 'Cause I mean, like
But
all
I
that
have
needs to
control
happen.
over whether I go to work or whether I show up to
yes,
a gig and
but
whether
I'm just
I
trying
get
to say
paid
that all
or
that
not.
needs to happen is they cut off the petrol supply, which gets shipped in from Singapore, and we have no cars whatsoever.
Yep. So what is better?
Or-
that everyone stops?
I never said that. No, I'm.
No. But I'm saying like, what's
I think it's about, from my perspective, I don't have a problem if someone is genuinely happy, whatever, working in a convenience store, living in a fucking gated community with 3 kids, and that if whatever you're doing is bringing you genuine peace, as long as it's not some kind of psychopathic fucking awful shit. If you're just living a good, decent life and it genuinely in your core makes you happy, I have a fucking, I know born-again Christians, so I fundamentally disagree with their entire philosophy of life, but we get on great, and I have an immense amount of
Yeah.
respect for them because they're genuinely happy and they genuinely own that. What I'm railing against is I know a lot of people who look like caged fucking animals trapped in their lives, and they're not happy, but they just, this is just what you do with
But-
a life. You're just fucking on the conveyor belt until you're dead. And
But maybe they are though.
I don't,
Like, don't take
no,
this the wrong
some-
way,
no,
but
no,
if
no.
people looked at you as a man who is doing what makes him happy for the most part, I don't know
I don't think I am doing what makes me
if
happy.
they would look at you and think like,
I don't,
it's a man.
but I'm not doing what makes me happy.
But what would
You're not-
make you happy?
I'm.
Do you know what would make you happy?
Yeah,
What?
but it's insane.
What
is
would-
it?
Right.
Oh, like
Well, you have to-
basically,
I think-
basically living
yeah.
in the woods.
Yeah.
Basically living on a fucking property with lots of animals.
You
and
wouldn't miss your PlayStation.
And
or-
I don't play fucking.
and doing-
How dare you? I've not played it. How dare you?
I'm so
Video
sorry.
games?
I'll make it more realistic. You wouldn't miss your figurines.
I can take my figurines to the farmhouse.
You in the woods.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's fine. I can have my dude. If my room burnt down tomorrow, the only thing I would miss is my diaries. That's the only thing that I would actually be like, fuck, that sucks that's gone. All the rest
But
of it
like,
is,
but like
is
I just
decoration.
think like a lot of like Christians and like people that believe in God, people who believe in like all this superstitious stuff. In my personal opinion, I just think like sometimes you just can't handle like just the tragedy that is life. Like life is just tragedy.
I agree,
And
but-
living is tragedy.
No,
and we
that's-
just have to learn how to
don't
deal
think-
with
No,
that. No,
I
we need
know.
to learn
How old are you?
how to deal with that.
Don't be
I'm
patronising.
I don't be patronising. I'm 25.
Yeah, that's that.
And I'm a
I felt-
social worker.
But I felt like that when I was 25. But the philosophy of nihilism only goes so far, and it's depressing.
But
I was never
it's not depressing though. You have to accept that, and you have to learn how to accept that and be okay with
But
that.
also,
It's
your life.
disappointment management, I
your-
feel.
Yeah.
That's what
And
nihilism
and
is.
Your life is just the story that you tell yourself it is. And if you tell yourself that, you're just this fucking naked ape on a mote of dust in infinity and nothing means anything.
Yeah, and
it's
be okay
fucked.
with that.
I've not found the key in my life to being okay with that without surrendering to despair.
Yeah, right.
not
See,
like-
you just have to learn how not to surrender to despair.
Duh.
Like what I've dealt with, like when I deal with like depression and stuff, is just feeling like I'm a piece of shit. Like you are just a fucking piece of shit, and it's like, okay, just fucking accept you're a piece of shit. All right, what? Just
But
fucking
you're not a
move on.
piece of
But
shit.
you're not a piece of
Yeah, I know. I might not be, but
you're not.
I've convinced myself I
There's
am.
far worse
So
people
why
than
don't
you
you
out
just
there.
learn how to be okay with being
But then-
a piece
but
of shit?
why
Don't
not
hate
fucking-
yourself because you're a piece
But then
of
why
shit.
not learn to see yourself as something other than a piece of shit?
I don't
It's
know.
not true.
Well, eventually you will come out of that, but just first accept it.
No, I reckon.
Just accept that you're a piece of shit. Move on.
Well, we're
I
all
think it's
pieces
good
of
to
shit.
accept that.
Yeah, exactly.
We're like-
we all are. We all are.
But
Just
we're
move
also
of
on.
all
shit with
fucking
diamonds
like
in-
incredible.
Yeah, we're all
True.
just we're all just imperfect, you know.
We're all just flawed, but it's fucking fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's like there's lots of tragedy, but like it's only tragedy because there's so much joy. You can't have.
Yeah.
if
Yeah, there's
everything
also
was-
so much.
If
joy
everything
that
was
I-
shit and sad all the time, then they're like, you wouldn't call
But
it
is it-
sad. You just
But
be
also,
like,
our society is very geared towards fetishizing and obsessing over the tragedy. The reality is, if you're walking down the street and you fall over, 5 people are going to run over and help you up.
Yeah.
We're not yet descended into this fucking awful apocalypse where everyone's like, who gives a fuck, and just keeps walking over.
I
But the
actually
most-
stacked it in Japan, thought I broke my knee in half, and no one helped me.
Yeah, I think that's a population
That's because
density
they're
thing.
racist.
It was rough.
it totally is.
It's really bad. I was crying. It was rough. Yeah.
But I feel like
That's
You've
so
seen
good.
their porno. They're weird people.
I think there's equal amounts of joy and happiness and all the good stuff as there is the pain and the horror.
Yeah.
But, you know, like
That's
there's-
how the other one exists.
Yeah, but like, you know, if you're going to turn the news on, it's like that whole if it bleeds, it leads thing, you know, that the society kind of like churns on all this tragedy and this horror, and it amplifies, and especially
Yeah.
now, it amplifies it. Like, every time there's a shooting in America, like, I'm not saying it's not a tragedy, but why the fuck are we all obsessing about it literally on the other side of the planet as though it happened two streets down?
Because it's a horrific like human rights.
Yeah, but it's also
abuse.
like, but the media as it exists now is this 24-hour slamming it into your face, and here's a schematic map of the path that the killer took, and this is the blood
Yeah,
splatter
yeah, yeah,
of the
that's
fourth
stuff-
victim.
Yeah, that's
It's
so
like
that
this
they can get
hysteria.
people
I
to
don't-
watch TV.
Yeah, but it's like that. It's like that in every fucking article as well. It's this like granular detail about this awful shit, and your lizard brain can't tell the difference between that's happened to a person I don't know on the other side of the planet. Your lizard brain's going like whoop whoop fuck. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get shot. I'm gonna get it's
Yeah.
it's not the case. If I'd not ever
Well, I don't think I'm going to get shot. I think you're just very anxious.
I'm
Ben.
super. You know what I mean? But I think that if I'd never picked up a newspaper, never watched the news, or never logged onto the internet in my entire life, I think I would be living in a much clearer headspace than I do, because there is that like
I do think the internet's toxic as fuck.
it's fucked.
It's rough.
I lived in the
But there's-
desert for a
yeah.
month last year, and by the end, you just really chilled out.
Yeah, of course. 'Cause,
You're
like,
really just happy. You're so calm.
but how
and
do
no,
you
I wasn't
afford
on
to live
drugs.
that life? Because like not everyone can just go and fucking
Well,
live
you
in
just
the
every
desert.
month you go sign up with a Walker Jura. It costs $600 to live in the desert for a month with these guys, and they walk around the desert with the Aboriginals, and it's pretty cheap
So you pay $600 a month to live in the desert.
for 4 weeks. Yeah, I mean that's probably cheaper than living in Sydney for a month.
I just don't think everyone lives those kind of lives where they can go and fuck off to a desert for a month.
I agree with that.
I
that's
agree
fair
with that
enough.
as well.
Yeah. Look, I've been unemployed
Like
for a very
that's
long
like
time.
yeah. See, like you're unemployed. like,
I was unemployed for too long, and I couldn't go back.
You've never been employed.
I had a job at a
no,
call
you
center
worked at
Yeah, you
Insight.
worked at the call
Yeah.
center for a bit, and you felt really good. You kept buying
for 3
coffee
months.
for everyone.
For 3 months.
That was a great period.
Was that the period?
That
where you
was
were
a funny
was
period.
Was that the period where you were trying to rehabilitate yourself from being a moocher?
No, I just needed to pay rent. Oh, yeah, I was doing that
Yeah,
too.
it was.
It totally was.
Every time we went out, you're like, I'll get this.
Yeah. Look who I was dealing as well at the time. But just tea.
Yeah. Green tea.
I can't believe we ended up here from Ghosts. Jesus.
Have you? Well, forget ghosts.
Okay.
Like, have you ever had like a supernatural experience or a UFO or anything? I'm looking at Jen because I know what you're going to say, and I know what you're going to say as well. I've got several.
No, I've just had weird superstitious things where I've thought of someone and then I've called them out of the blue and something, like I've thought something fucked's happened to them and then I've called them and something's happened. Or I've thought of someone out of nowhere and like I've had a dream that something fabulous has happened and then I've called them and they're like, oh yeah, this happened.
Yeah, it's
but I
weird
mean, I think
premonition.
that makes
You got
sense
The
because
Shining,
you're
man. You got
connected
The
with
Shining.
people. No, but like if you're close enough with someone, you can look at them for a second and you can usually gauge what mood they're in.
Well, twins
And
twins
if
have
you
a
love
psychic
someone,
link.
you're like, I hope something good's happened to them. So then you call them and then something's good happened to them.
Well,
There is also
I mean-
cognitive bias. We also lock into the times that it lands, and we forget
Yeah,
the times that it
totally.
does.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
the one
I
time
mean-
a year where you have like a premonition, then it comes true. It's like, oh, I can't believe it, but you forget about the 364 times. You're like, oh, I think this thing's going to happen, and it doesn't happen.
That's not realistic at all, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I'm sorry, I'm completely delusional.
Yeah, you
Tell me
are.
more about ayahuasca.
oh, well,
Thank
I
you.
had a
Back to
dream.
reality, Jen. You're the only one I have
Come
on
Jen,
board
could you,
here.
like,
I had a dream that my grandmother, I was at a Tibetan funeral because my grandmother's Tibetan, and then next day I found out she died that night.
see that kind of stuff.
That was weird.
me and my grandma were in each other's heads just like 2 minutes before she died. Like there was a definite conversation going on. But again, it's like maybe there wasn't. Maybe it was just me.
Yeah, it's just like
Pushing
how
in.
I wanted to be able, how I could handle that grief at 12, you know? I was like, oh, I must, like, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I think consciousness
But
is
I
a
don't
field.
think it's, I don't think it's really anything.
Well, I think consciousness is a field, and we're stuck in a very sort of adolescent form of an ego because of the lack of initiation societies, which keep us trapped in an 8-year-old state of mind. But in all indigenous cultures, they have initiation ceremonies through extreme pain, or physical ordeal, or psychotropic drugs, which basically break your superego down and situate you in a larger context of a collective. And also it breaks down your ego boundaries, which we have quite strong. Western society basically encourages the egomania, and that's what keeps you closed off to these sort of more... They're not even magical experiences. Like in indigenous, it's just what happens. This is what they do. Like I was talking to this guy. These guys go hunting. They have this tobacco snuff. They see visions of where to go hunt the animals, and everything happens exactly how they see it. And the guy was like astounded. Just like, how does this happen? Is this magic? And the guy's like, no, we just do this because we know it works.
Well, that's
So-
like, because they understand, like they understand that more than...
I think
Yeah.
we're
Land more
divorced from
and
the
stuff.
rhythms of nature now, and I think when you're in the rhythms of nature and you kind of give yourself over
yeah,
to
'cause
it,
we're animals.
Yeah, of course. But we have elevated ourselves above that, and we don't think we're animals anymore, and we don't realize so much of what we do is motivated by a fucking animal brain. But I think when you really are in nature, away from all your technology and everything, the rhythm of your life does change, and your perceptions do change. I don't know if it's psychically tapping into a field of consciousness. I think it is.
Yeah.
But maybe, again, that's just a
Brain is a
story
receiver.
that, makes it easier for me to comprehend that.
I think some of the animal brain that people stamp out isn't that much of a bad thing. Like the whole thing of, we were talking about that book where it's like we're living in the least violent time in history. That's partly because we've removed some part of our animal brain. Otherwise, we'd all be punching each other in the face instead of talking. So it's like some part of the animal brain's okay to remove, but I don't know, some parts of being connected to at least the earth would probably be beneficial. But how do you reconcile that with people going to work each day and like trying to achieve certain things?
What do you mean?
Like, how do you tell the person who's happy going to work every day and stuff, being like, you'd actually probably be happier if you were more connected to the earth?
But I wouldn't, because it's like if that, like I said, going back to what I said before, if they're genuinely happy doing that, and you can see when someone's genuinely content.
Yeah.
You can tell when someone's content versus the person whose eyes are fucking darting around all over the place and they've got a Richter screen like, I'm just really happy all the time. No, you're not. You're fucking insane.
Yeah,
You look like a
maniac.
mental patient.
Yeah, it's scary.
And you're not happy. You're fucking trapped in your own life. Man, I know so many people that have married with kids and it's a terrible mistake for them. But they didn't know what else to do. And that's what I have. Not contempt. That's too fucking... it's contempt. No, but it's just like... I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for people that are like,
But they might feel sorry for you,
fine.
so it's okay.
Yeah, that's like
Most people feel sorry for me.
fine. I'm pretty, I'm
you're
pretty
an
happy.
inspiration.
What was that?
You're an inspiration then.
Exactly. I'm the guy you don't want to be like. I'm happy. I'm pretty happy 60% of the time, and I
Yeah.
figure that's pretty good odds. Like that's like a lot of, in this life. Maybe
Yeah.
that's the most you can hope for. 60% of the day, you're pretty, and it's not just like happy. It's like really blissed and content. And I feel like I've fought a lot of the ghosts. Ooh, there we go. And you know, like whatever. You've got to, like you said, you've got to fucking accept that you're a piece of shit. But I think you go too far. And I agree with 90% of what Nick says, but I also think you go too far too. But it doesn't matter because it's like, you know, whatever fucking works, right?
Yeah.
Man,
We did it.
we did it. We solved it, you guys.
We're out of time, guys.
Are we?
We're
Yeah.
out of time. I
Thank
need
you,
to pee.
guys.
Hey, thanks so much for coming to the show, guys. Can we get a massive round of applause for our special guests, Sean Smith and Nick Sun?
You.
We're doing more shows. We got one on Thursday, one on Saturday, and one on Sunday with guests like Dave Eastgate, Cam Knight, Becky Lucas, and Cameron James. If you want to come along, please do.
And please thank our wonderful producer who makes this actually happen, Sean Allen. And of course, Ben Elwood.
I'm Jen Cannavale.
Yeah.
And there's a new episode of Oink Time on iTunes every week. Thanks guys.
Bye.